Wow, it's actually been a while since I heard this one. Brings me back to 2 months ago. Holy man. Happy Monday. Happy Memorial Day. It is Monday, May 31st. March 30 or May 31st. I don't know why I said March. I got a DM right as I went live and the word March was involved. So, I guess we flipped the live switch a couple minutes early. It's all good, man. Hopefully you guys are coming off a pretty relaxed weekend down here. A lot of schools out already. Summertime is here. So fun little 3-day work weekend to get the kids at home a little bit longer. It is a national pastime to have all day MLB. And I'm excited. I'm also very doggone tired, but Sunday is the day off, and when I was about to go to sleep earlier this morning, I looked at the slate. I was like, fudge, I forgot all about the noon tip-off here, or the first pitch. So decided to go on and stay up a little bit longer. So bear with me if my words are a little bit more slurred than usual. We are still waiting on most of the slate to release their lineups, but I imagine that a bulk of them will come out while we're live. And as we visit game by game here, we'll be able to punch those in. This stream brought to you by Prize Picks. They seem to be sponsoring everything and everyone, and now every time I look up on a baseball game or something like that, I see Prize Picks advertisements. So they are definitely expanding, and for good reason, man. It's a really, really fun site to use. I love the product, so if you guys haven't already checked it out, you want to combine maybe props and parlays and give yourself a little bit more versatility and a little bit more diversity in what you allocate your DFS spend to. I definitely encourage you guys to go check out prizepicks.com, and if you use promo code GUNDACKER when you sign up, you will actually get an instant deposit bonus up to $100. No slow drip. They put that in your account so you can turn $20 into $40 right off the rip. But you might as well turn 100 into 200 and then go make yourself some cards. Be responsible, and you can get up to 10x your entry. So $10 into 100 if you hit a 4-leg, 5-leg card. It's really fun, and I think probably the most fun thing about Prize Picks is it's easy to place bets on every sport, basketball, baseball. They have hockey. They even have esports, and then you can isolate it into single stats and fantasy projections. So, for example, for basketball, you can bet a fantasy score. I believe it's the same scoring as FanDuel. Then you can also bet on isolated stats like real points, rebounds, assists, 3 points made, stuff like that. So it's a lot of fun. And then for MLB, they have pitching, strikeouts, fantasy projections, all that good stuff. So I enjoy it. And like I said, it's another way to kind of reward your research, diversify that investment day to day, because you can't always play everyone in baseball, especially everyone that you think is a good play, in basketball for that matter. Sometimes the salary constraints maybe make that person a little bit unreachable for DFS, but if you just want to go isolate, a great rebounding matchup for X person over there on Prize Picks, it's a good way to better reward your research. What's up, chat? What up, Dang Lazy Mofo? What up, Blair? Markwell? What up, Pinstripe Pimp? Bro, we got to turn it around. We got to get this Yankees team back in order. Jameson Taillon on the bump today. Lineup is looking a little less banged up than the typical one, but we're facing Rich Hill, who mowed them down a couple weeks back. We'll chop that one up in just a minute, but as we always do, if you guys are watching live, I'd imagine there's no replay value in this one, and you're either watching live or not. Be sure to be active in chat, say what's up. If you got some questions or whatever, toss them away. Baseball streams a lot more laid back than the NBA streams, and then we have a little bit more time to visit stuff. So I am going to go game by game, and we're going to discuss the Memorial Day MLB slate for FanDuel and DraftKings. FanDuel has the 5:10 p.m. Eastern Nationals at Braves game for some reason. I don't know why. And then DraftKings will have the Cleveland game, which is one of the first game of the doubleheader. So that game will not be on FanDuel, but that Nationals game will be on FanDuel and not on DraftKings. So you're kind of getting a 1-for-1 there. I think that the doubleheader game will be a little bit more valuable for the pitcher there, like Carlos Rodon for DraftKings, but it does make the slates a little bit different, even though they're the same. What up, Surf King? What up, Earth to Air? No plate discipline at all. Need that old patient at the plate, Bombers. We just need the not AAA team Yankees. The Yankees are so beat up, so injured, it hurts. You would like to see Castro be able to pull off a trade, but I understand how the market's limited. I'm not going to overreact to getting swept by the Tigers because we just swept the Tigers, and also like maybe like the NL West is like the only division you feel like really has things together right now, with the Padres, the Giants, the Dodgers, all kind of, and the Giants are overperforming, but with the Padres and Dodgers kind of doing what you kind of expect them to do. Other than that, there's not like, you can't really look at many teams around the league and be like, yep, that team has this all figured out, they're going to go all the way. No, it's just, the whole league is like this. So I'm not overreacting to what the Yankees are doing or not doing, but the injury bug has been biting lately. With Corey Kluber going down for 2 months, we're losing Luke Voigt to the oblique, losing Aaron Hicks for the year. A couple of paternity leaves. It's getting annoying, and we definitely want to beef up pitching and then hopefully get hot at the right time. But let's jump into it, man. What up, Quinn? Doing all right, bro. Let's jump into game one here. The Twins at the Orioles. We got Jose Barrios taking on Jorge Lopez. Implied run total for the Twins, 4.8. Orioles, 3.8. I do not have an Orioles lineup yet, but we did get a Twins confirmed lineup. Fun spot for the Twins, taking some of these bats and putting them in a hitter-friendly environment like Camden Yards. I do think the Twins are one of those skidding teams that are looking to get right? Like some of the metrics are not going to look like. So, for instance, 414 slugging for the Twins this year against righties. You know this team will hit for power. They're always a perennial contender for leading the league in homers. You know it's going to pick up. They have to get a little bit funky. They still have Luis Ariz on the DL. But guys like Donaldson, Kirilloff, Nelson Cruz, Mitch Garver, even Miguel Sano when he's not striking out. Like, these are power bats. So I do like taking a shot at the Twins here in one of these AL East parks. There are some high strikeout rates in this lineup, but Jorge Lopez, not really somebody you target for strikeouts. A sub 10% swing and strike rate for the last 4 seasons with a really, really high whip. So this is an excellent spot for the Twins to get right. And there's not really a spot I would stray away from. Lopez is an equal opportunity employer, 198 home run per 9 this year to righties, 153 so far to lefties. If you look at the last couple of years, he's been way more susceptible consistently to lefties, but I'm not shying away from the righties all the same. Alex Kirilloff seems like he's going to be a really, really high prospect for a homer today. Just to kind of take a glance at the pitch report, what we're dealing with on Jorge Lopez. Fastball, 61% usage rate, 94.5 miles an hour is the average velocity. And then a little bit of the curveball and changeup. The curve is a negative graded pitch. All of his pitches are really negative, all the primary ones. So really, really bad on the negative. Kirilloff also has a negative grade so far, but he hasn't been up that long to really over invest into the sample size and maybe that grade there. So I do think he could turn it around here, but 60% of the fastball rate, I think he has an amazing grade against that pitch. So I do like Kirilloff as an early home run call, but there's going to be just a whole lot of Twins exposure for me. Probably going to be one of my most sought after stacks. Jose Barrios, kind of a guy I do prefer more at home, but so far this season on the road, it's been just fine. 3.64, chipping a chair to put up a solid game, 26% K rate, sub 200 average allowed, and keeping the ball in the park. So this Orioles lineup, I think is a little bit more pesky than they often get credit for, but they will still strike out, and against a good pitcher that has his stuff, I definitely think a good score from Barrios is a range of outcome. 25 plus DKP is a range of outcome here, so I would probably have to invest in a little bit of Barrios, tapered expectation, knowing the historical road trends for him are not favorable, the park is not favorable, and he could lose at any given time, but I do think there is potential here. So no confirmed lineup for the Orioles yet, but when that lineup comes out, I'd be really taking a comb and kind of running through this lineup and kind of gauging where my confidence level is at. Right now, I got a lot of projected guys in the left side of the batter's box, and that's kind of where he's struggled. Barrios so far this season, a 306 average allowed with a 144 home run per 9. But the 384 xFIP kind of suggests that he's a little bit on the unlucky side. So give me a little bit of Barrios. If I wanted to pick on Barrios, it definitely would be like a power lefty. I think Anthony Santander is under valued at this price, $3K on FanDuel, $3,300 on DraftKings. I can definitely get behind that. Freddie Galvis is at $2,500 on FanDuel. If he finds himself in the top 4 of that lineup, I can definitely invest in that. I do think that's a good price on FanDuel. Cedric Mullins is fine. Like, the rest of his lineup is fine, but I think Santander and Galvis are the two that stick out the most. Chipping a chair. Yes, sir. What's up, Quinn? Doing all right? Nope. Yeah. Man, dude, I could feel it. Like, I could feel how tired I am. Like, I think you guys might sense that I'm not as sharp as I usually am with the tongue, right? Rays and the Yankees. Rich Hill taking on Jameson Tyone. Rays have an implied run total of 4.1, Yankees 4.5. Yankees need to get right, and they're hoping Tyone can right the ship. Last couple days, they've really kind of punted pitching, digging into the bowels of the high AAA guys, the Michael Kings, the Davy Garcias, the Abreu's, guys like that, and putting out some wonky lineups. You know, it's victim circumstance. Hopefully, they can get things put together here. They were really a Justin Wilson strike away from taking a game in that series, but instead it turns into a sweep thanks to the Grossman bomb on a full count. Today, back in Yankee Stadium, they definitely thrive a little bit stronger in Yankee Stadium, and they will be looking to seek a little bit of revenge on Rich Hill. If you guys didn't catch it, Rich Hill faced the Yankees a couple starts back, might have been one or two starts back, and did a historical thing. He had 9 strikeouts in that game, 104 pitches, 32 DKP. He's actually hit 30-plus DraftKings points in 2 of his last 3 games, and I guess since Albert Pujols re-signed with the Dodgers, he goes back to being the second oldest player in the league. But yeah, he's been on quite a little tear here. That curveball's kind of working for him, and I don't know that. Man, I don't know that like I'd run it back, like go roster him at 8,800. But I also think that the Yankees, even in this struggle, I mean, they really don't put up runs as an offense. They often are overvalued as a matchup to shy away from, meaning that like pitchers will thrive against the Yankees pretty consistently. So like I don't want to like I don't know I don't want to say that I think Rich Hill's a great play here, but I just think like pitchers with decent strikeout potential against the Yankees are usually in play for me. I do think this Yankees lineup, I wish they had Gary Sanchez in the mix somewhere, but LeMahieu, Stanton, Judge, Urshela, and Glaber, that 1 through 5, that is the hump, the hill to get over for Rich Hill. So if he can live through that, I do think the bottom 4 of this lineup, Odor, Andujar, Higashioka, and Gardy, are the kind of the bats off here. So kind of a high risk, decent reward situation. If you look at Rich Hill, you look at this matchup, and you say to yourself, 30 DKP is a range of outcome at 8,800. You probably don't have 0. If I'm going to pick on Rich Hill so far this season, he will let some slip to righties, a 1.5 home run per 9, and he is not immune to walking hitters. Maybe the Yankees had some time to kind of study the last outing for Rich Hill, and that's something that does benefit hitters. They are able to look at what a pitcher's approach was in a previous game. But with Rich Hill, you really don't get any surprises. He's going to throw fastball, and he's going to throw curveball a lot. 43% usage rate on that curveball at 72 miles an hour. So that's going to generate a lot of softer contact and a lot of wonkier swings. LeMahieu, Stanton, Judge all profile well historically against the curveball pitch as is and the fastball. So I do think there's multiple ranges of outcomes that favor them, but also Rich Hill could just thrive, and the Yankees could just have another average offensive game. 4.5 implied run total for the Yankees there. Jameson Taillon on the season, a 5.06 ERA with a 3.51 SIERA and a 3.96 xFIP. So his metrics are kind of all over the place. I don't think he's great, but I also think at 7,300, there's reason to be interested, especially bolstering a 13% swinging strike rate and having Higashioka catching him here. I think it's a decent little spot for him to maybe 2.5, maybe even 3x his price point if he can keep it together here. Rays lineup did come out. It is confirmed. Brandon Lau, Randy Arozarena, Taylor Walls, Mike Zunino, all guys that strike out over 1 in 4 at bats, and then there's a couple other guys he can probably still strikeouts from. The bottom of this lineup doesn't hit for a great average. They don't hit for much power. again, it's kind of like the same situation. Both these lineups are very top heavy today on paper. If Tyon can live through 1 through 4, definitely think at 7,300 we could steal a 20 plus DKP point performance. And you got to believe that the Yankees will try and play inspired. The press conferences after the Tiger series was pretty dreadful and depressing, disappointing. I definitely think there's going to be some reason for them to play up here, and I do think Yankee Stadium will be popping. So I hope they bring the energy here, and I hope the Yankees do not get just blanked, man. I'm kind of getting sick of that, right? If I had a home run hunt here against Rich Hill, I'd probably look at Giancarlo Stanton, historical lefty masher. Rich Hill against righties, 27% K rate here. Judge is another guy that profiles extremely well. Judge's batting average might stun a lot of people in this season. I think he's one of the few hitters in the league batting over 300. There might be less than 30 hitters that can say that, and Judge right now is one of them. When you think about the strikeout rates and the low batting averages across the league, especially in this Yankees lineup, a guy like Judge usually gets that negative connotation for his egregiously high strikeout rate. But I do think at 3,600, by the way, on FanDuel, that's an incredible price. And Giancarlo Stanton and DJ LeMahieu under 3K on FanDuel, you just know the upside is much more is much greater than those price points. Are really all across the board here. Even a Gleyber Torres at 3,200 and Gio Urshela 300 above the min price. What the disrespect, man? That's ridiculous. I guess I would definitely be more invested in the Yankees on FanDuel. I mean, Judge is dang near 50% off on FanDuel versus DraftKings. So harder to get on one side, but easier to attack on the other. Tigers and the Brewers. So I think this will be your chalk pitcher spot. We do have the Brewers lineup now. I didn't have it when we flipped the switch here, so let me type it in here real quick. I got Colton Wong leading off. I got Willie Adames in the 2 spot, Christian Yelich. Avisel Garcia, 5 spot, Lorenzo Cain. Omar Narvaez is batting 6th. Keston Hiura and Luis Urias. So neither offense is kind of screaming at you here, but I do think Corbin Burns, the tier 1 play of the day for me on DraftKings, under 10K, he's just been untouchable. He's insane. 34% K rate against lefties, 50% K rate against righties so far. He's nuts. It's the Detroit Tigers. If he puts up a Garrett Cole game where he just gets 12 DraftKings points, it happens, but there's really no reason for me to not list Corbin Burns as my number 1 play of the day, especially at under 10K on DraftKings. So that's easily where I will be on him. And I can't really look at his numbers here and kind of hunt a weakness. He hasn't let up a homer to a lefty in 2 years, and he's not really giving up homers to righties either. So all day, Corbin Burns, my highest owned pitcher right now on DraftKings. I probably sit him at like a min of probably a minimum of 70%. And I haven't looked at ownership projections or anything like that, but I can't imagine he's going to be low on by the field either. I would imagine he's the highest owned pitcher on the slate, but I'm not overthinking that one. Tyler Alexander, the Southpaw, 415 xFIP, 10.5% swinging strike rate, 135 whip. He's strike throwing lefty, does have a power problem to righties. Last couple seasons, over a 1.3 home run per 9 to righties. Allows almost a 300 average. This is not a team that hits for much power from the right side of the plate, but I think Avisel Garcia would be the guy I look at. Garcia has been swinging a hot bat the last couple days. I want to say he's homered a couple of times over the weekend. I know for sure he homered in like the first game of that doubleheader on, I want to say, was it Saturday? Abby, there we go. There he is. He's 4K too, though. You got to go up there and get him. But yeah, homered, Nats, 2 homers in his last 3 games. He's got 10 homers on the season. So I really like Garcia here. If he's going to get a couple of looks at Alexander, he might just get 1 look. Let me see what Alexander's recent pitch count is. 7? 15, yeah. He might just get 1 look at Alexander, if that. And then it's a full-on bullpen game. Tigers bullpen, definitely not something to run from. With one of the actually might be one of the worst bullpens in the league right now. So if you want to invest in the Brewers to maybe attack some bad pitching, it might be one of those bad pitching beats bad hitting spots. But I'm just gonna cherry pick the regulars. I don't think I invest in a stack. Implied run total for the Tigers, by the way, 2.6. That's really that's as low as it gets. I don't think I've seen a lower run total this season. Maybe you see a 2.5 somewhere. But yeah, that's as low as it gets. So Corbin Burns has Vegas in his pocket. He homered off of Max yesterday. What up, Chris? Yankees killed all my lineups yesterday. Oh, that's tough. But it happens. Like I said, Yankees have been offensively depressing this season. Even on that win streak, it wasn't like the Yankees were dropping 10 runs a day, right? It was just the pitching was thriving. We're getting more lineups out, so we're getting into the next game. Dude, I definitely feel the sleepiness. Phillies at the Reds, Great American Ballpark. So the Great American Ballpark often going to be a spot where I say stack the ballpark, where I don't even necessarily care who's pitching. It's just I know this ballpark can be one of the friendliest hitting environments in the league, and I think it's been one of the best, maybe at least top one, but no less than top 3 home run park over the course of the last 2 years. So Phillies lineup looks a little bit different than projected. I got Odubel Herrera leading off. We got Gene Segura, Rhys Hoskins, Realmuto in the cleanup spot, Brad Miller batting 5th, Andrew McCutchen not leading off but batting 6th, Alec Boehm in the 7 hole, Ronald Torreyes, former Yankee great, in the 8th spot, Vince Velasquez, no Bryce Harper still on the red side. Eugenio Suarez was recently put in this leadoff spot. He's been raking. Jesse Winker is not in the lineup. Tyler Naquin, that's a big absence. Very notable absence there. Winker, one of the best barrel hitters in the league. Tyler Stevenson's batting cleanup. Max Schrock in the 5 spot. Tucker Barnhart from the Department of Redundancy Department, type that backup former, and Shogo Akiyama. So, versus the projected lineup, the Reds definitely have quite a few noticeable changes. I think most notably being the absence of Jesse Winker. The implied run total for the Reds 4.4, the Phillies 4.2. So Vince Velasquez definitely somebody that my eyes would have lit up to have a shot at Jesse Winker against him. Not going to get that. But Tyler Naquin's not somebody that I would ignore. Like I said, I'm still going to stack the ballpark in this spot. Even with some less than A lineups. On the Philly side, if we want to pick on what Wade Miley does or does not allow, he's really kind of getting by just being a good real-life pitcher. xFIP is 3.19 against the lefties so far this season, 3.36 against righties. Heavy ground ball rates, that's just kind of his brand of baseball. If I wanted to pick on him, I do think that just the fact that he's going to challenge you to make contact, maybe a guy like Rhys Hoskins, JT Realmuto, kind of stick out at me. And then Vince Velasquez. So far this season, his home run per 9 has not been what we are accustomed to against lefties, but I do think there's still room for regression for that number. 0.71. The other metrics, the hard contact rate, the fly ball rate, not that egregiously different than what we've seen last year. Definitely a stark contrast versus the 2019-2018 numbers, but I still think I can attack him with the right lefties. And unfortunately, like, Jesse Winker was the guy I was going to gun for, but in his absence, maybe I look at Tyler Naquin. Against righties, Velasquez does have an elevated strikeout rate above 30% since the beginning of last season, but he will also allow some power. So we kind of want to find if we want to pick on that stat, we're looking for maybe sub 20% K rate with a high hard contact rate. We just don't get that. So just for betting on talent's sake, it would be Eugenio Suarez, Nick Castellanos as the 2 guys you might circle for home run potential against Velasquez. But this is one of those combustible elements where Velasquez at 8,400 could do well. I think this could be one of those classic Velasquez starts where he's got 4 or 5 great innings and then maybe goes out there for the 6th and it all falls apart. It's kind of what this game is kind of screaming at me. But at 8,400, he's got to be in the pool, but I also got to have the park in the pool. I'm not going to have any Wade Miley. And then, yeah, I'd just be stacking the ballpark, not really specifically challenging either pitcher splits here. We're just hoping he gets away in one of the top hitters parks in baseball. But got to have some Velasquez. You just do. So, we did get that Orioles lineup. If you guys want to back it up just a minute, we'll fill that in there. If you guys want access to the spreadsheet, it is a premium perk of having a subscription at rundfs.com. Usually really, really expensive, but right now not. And by really, really expensive, I mean like the month pass is usually like $100. Right now the month pass is at $60. And the week pass is at $20. 2-week pass at $35. So reduced rates going on over there if you guys want to add the spreadsheet as your as a research aid throughout the week. We will have the RunDFS.com VIP Discord. Probably not today since it's a weird holiday thing. But as we get back to normal, I'm usually in there for about 2 hours before lock if you guys want to chop it up. Cedric Mullins, Trey Mancini batting second for the Orioles. Kind of robbed me of my Freddie Galvis. Santander batting third, Franco cleanup, Stewart, Mountcastle, Stevie Wilkerson. Anybody remember the security guard from Jerry Springer? Wasn't his name Steve? I swear his name was Steve Wilkerson. That's what that reminds me of. I think he had his own show for a bit. All right. Confirmed Orioles lineup. So you Vipers that are relying on the live lineups right now, that's in there. Let's move on. I guess we can go over to the Padres game here. Padres at the Cubs, Wrigley Field. A little bit of wind, not a lot. 9 miles to left center. We have a Padres lineup, but not a Cubs lineup. Tommy Pham, Manny Machado, Cronenworth, Fernando Tatis, Eric Hosmer, Will Myers, Profar in the 7th spot, and then Victor Caratini, former Cub, I believe, in the 8th spot. Chris Paddock on the bump. So Padres coming off a Houston series where they had the DH pitchers didn't have to bring their bats. Today a little bit different. 5.3 is your implied run total for the Padres. And pitching for the Cubs, it looks like it's going to be a bullpen game. I got Keegan Thompson as the guy we should be thinking of first. But again, looking at his pitch counts, it's probably not a guy I would expect for long. Has seen 3 innings a few times, but not recently. So it looks like another full bullpen game, and that's fine. This is one of those spots where if you're going to stack Padres, you really don't care about the matchup. If you're getting an average to below average pitching staff, you know which Padres you want. You're likely going to want Machado, Tatis as your upper echelon guys. Jake Cronenworth has been really, really good, batting over 300 against righties since the beginning of last season. And then Tommy Pham in that leadoff spot, right? He definitely has bust potential, but he does have a little bit of pop and some a lot of stolen base potential. Just out of curiosity, I'm going to take a look at the bullpen usage tab here in the RunDFS.com NBA VIP spreadsheet. Kind of see who has been going for the Cubs lately. Maybe we can guess who might come out of the pen. So Dylan Maples threw 39 pitches yesterday, so very unlikely that he comes out today. A lefty, weak, threw 21 pitches and 15 pitches last 2 days. Probably don't see him today. I don't think he's inactive, but we probably don't see him today. So we're looking at guys like Andrew Chafin. Kimbrell's the closer, so you would only see him in a save situation, more than likely to pair. So there's a bunch of righties. So Chafin would be the only lefty, and I do like, if I want to play Tommy Pham, I really want to know that I could see him against a lefty, and it seems like unless Rex Brothers or Wick went a third day in a row, which is not impossible, it just seems like you would not go to them first. Maybe Chafin would get some run here. Does DraftKings have a projected long man, or is it just, yeah, okay. So maybe some more information will come out on that. Out of curiosity here, Andrew Chafin, just I want to punch his stats in the spreadsheet real quick and see if there is something against righties we can pull on him. He has been pretty solid against righties. He hasn't allowed, he's got 0.68 homer per 9 to righties so far this season, so I don't know. I'm not going to overthink the matchups here. You really can't predict it. What we do know is the Padres have a over 5 run total. It's Wrigley Field. I I'd be stacking Padres here, and the Padres are pretty self-explanatory on guys to target. Tatis is easily your number one, and then you're going to look at Machado, Cronenworth, Pham, and take your pick on like the Hosmer, Will Myers. Those guys get a little bit more volatile, but the front end guys are, you know who you want, who you don't want, right? Lane, what up, Lane? Wilkos. Okay, Steve Wilkos, yeah. Look out. I don't know if I trust the Cubs bullpen. I wouldn't trust the bull. And that's what I'm saying. We're not really gonna try and predict individual matchups, but it should be a decent spot altogether. Let's move on from this game. We don't have a Cubs lineup yet. I don't think we should be getting any curveballs from that lineup. Jock Peterson's been kind of leading off. Bryant, yeah. Maybe Rizzo has a funky spot. I got him projected in the cleanup spot, but he does have a Q tag on him, so Rizzo would be the guy to watch. Moving on to the next game, White Sox at the Indians. So this is the game that's only on DraftKings, not on FanDuel, and it's going to feature Carlos Rodon against Tristan McKenzie. We see a lot of these doubleheader games. If you guys are just dipping your toes into the MLB DFS season, maybe the early Memorial Day lock. The doubleheaders are 7-inning games, which usually rob you of 1.5 at bats from your hitters, but it does give you a stronger shot at pitchers. A stronger shot for the pitcher if he's leaving with the lead to hold on to the lead, because the bullpen has 2 less innings to F things up, right? The bridge to the closer is a lot smaller. A lot of times the starting pitcher can just hand the ball over to the closer. And 2, sometimes these pitchers can steal a complete game, because 7-inning games, if you go 7, it's scored as a complete game. So Carlos Rodon is 10.1K here, going against an Indians team that seems more powerful against lefties than they really are. And one of the biggest guys that they had, the biggest threats to lefties, Franmil Reyes, recently went on the IL. So good spot for Rodon here to eat innings. Bad spot if you're trying to strikeout hunt. We got a lot of sub 20% K rates in that top projected 5 of the lineup. So this does have kind of one of those understand ranges of outcomes situations where I could see Rodon just outpower the Indians and steal some strikeouts. Just because strikeouts 15% doesn't mean we can't get strikeouts, but isn't like it's on versus that starting line. Isn't like it's like a 20, I don't know, like a 10 plus K spot. 10 plus Ks in his last 2 games. He has faced Cleveland earlier this season where he dropped 24.5 DKP. But you see in that game he had 8 strikeouts. And then the game prior to that, it was a back-to-back start. He had 7 strikeouts but went 47 DKP. That was the no-hitter against Cleveland. So he has dominated Cleveland this season. And like I said, even if he's not going to get strikeouts here, if he's going to get some low pitch outs, I could see a scenario where, because it's a doubleheader, maybe you don't dip into your bullpen quickly. You trust a guy like Rodon, who right now has been ace-like for the White Sox. As long as he's not doing like 5-7 pitch outs, right? If Cesar Hernandez not going to strike out, maybe he can ground out on 2 pitches. This could be a CG spot for Rodon, and even more so like a CGSO spot. Like you can get really, really fluky with some of that stuff in these 7-inning games. So I'll definitely be looking at Rodon quite a bit. I still have Corbin Burns miles ahead of him in terms of like ownership that I'll have. But I like Rodon all the same. Tristan McKenzie, guy that's going to flaunt a high swing and strike rate, 13.4% swing and strike rate. But that's about the only redeeming quality he has so far in 36 innings of sample size. Every other metric is bad. Like, everything is bad. So I don't think I'm going to get to any McKenzie today. And it makes us start to debate whether or not we want to have White Sox bats in our lineup, knowing we're only going to get 7 innings of access or at-bats for this game. I think you can. I think we saw it over the weekend where the White Sox were popping off in these doubleheader games, and it really is just a matter of what's a home run worth to you, right? If you play a guy, he gets 5 at-bats, but he goes 1 for 5 with a homer, in that lineup, your lineup's gonna look nice, right? Like he's not the reason you didn't win or you didn't do well. And if you have just if you have that homer in your lineup, I think he did his part. So yes, I value that the 1.5 at bat that you lose pretty high, but I think I'm not running from the White Sox here. I don't have a total on the White Sox, but if you get a shot at like Anderson, Moncada, Abreu, Yerman Mercedes, like there's plenty of bats here that could take Mackenzie Yabo. I think if you wanted to narrow it down here, you maybe want to look at some of these guys that strike out a little less. But McKenzie's, like, these stats are just way too bad for me not to have some White Sox stacks floating around in my lineups here. So I wouldn't go all in on them, but I definitely will have access to them. But also, this projected lineup, take it with a grain of salt because it is a doubleheader. You might see, especially in the daytime, like we're looking at 6 degrees, not too bad. But sometimes these daytime doubleheaders on like feature hotter temperatures, and you definitely want to baby your veterans here. So like it wouldn't shock me if one of these veteran guys had one of these games off, right? So kind of keep an eye on that. We don't have that lineup out yet, but hopefully soon. Let's move on to the next game. Take a peek at chat real quick. What's up? Indians kind of been disappointing lately. Rodon could go 5-6 easily. Yeah, or 7. Like there could be a spot where Rodon hits. He like with 5. Think about it. If 5 strikeouts, like on the low end, if he just had 5 strikeouts, but still got that CGSO because he went 7 innings and didn't give him a run, like he could be just fine. Angels and the Giants next on the docket. These are games that we probably don't get lineups for by main slate lock. So kind of give yourself an out or some outs if you do have interest in these stacks. I got a 4:05 start time on the Giants game, 4:10 on the Astros, 4:10 on the Mariners, and then FanDuel, for whatever reason, left on that Nats game. So I would say if you're the type that, likes to wait for all lineups to script, there's a good chance we don't have that opportunity this morning. So keep that in mind. But on a Memorial Day slate, like I'm not expecting a lot of surprises. Guys want to get out there and play. Angels throwing Dylan Bundy up against Johnny Cueto. Angels have an implied run total of just 3.7, a sub 4 run total, and the Giants 4.4. I've talked about it over the last week or so, man. That NL West is just an exciting brand of baseball right now, and anytime we get those top 3 teams going at it, the Dodgers and the Padres felt like a playoff series. The Giants and the Dodgers brought it. Just some exciting stuff. So Giants are looking to stay hot. Angels are just, it's bad. They are down bad right now. I don't have Ohtani listed in this projected lineup. So I wonder if there was some verbiage on him having the day off. So I'm going to check his card. I don't see anything about that. So I don't know if somebody in chat heard anything about Ohtani having a day off. For him to not be in the projected lineup, I'm assuming there was a quote for that to happen. And if this is a lineup that doesn't have Ohtani and we already know Trout's out, like there's not many pitchers I wouldn't think about playing in Oracle, right? Cueto, a 3.86 ERA, 3.98 Sierra, 3.54 xFIP, swinging strike rate 10%. If you target at Cueto, you're not really trying to get a high strikeout game. You're probably looking to eat some innings here, maybe scoop a win. 7,500, like it's not gonna wow me, but maybe he makes the back end of my pitcher pool, cap him at like 10%, see what happens. The Giants side of things, Dylan Bundy's kind of one of those extreme splits pitchers. He'll dominate a lineup full of righties, but it will struggle against lefties. And the Giants are going to be pretty well mixed and matched. Yastrzemski, Alex Dickerson, Brandon Crawford, Steven Duggar, guys that bat lefty. You might also see Mike Tauchman in the lineup. He bats lefty. So I definitely would taper my expectations on what Dylan Bundy might have as a range of outcome. But if the Giants did surprise us and this lineup came up more righty than not, right? Maybe you saw a Posey, a Wilmer Flores for some reason, Donovan Solano. Like if you just saw a lot of righties bunched together, especially at the top of the lineup, I definitely would be interested in taking some shots at Bundy, but I I don't know. I wouldn't want two lefties bunched together, and I just don't think there's a way that lineup comes out any other way. So, I 7K Bundy. What's my floor? Floor is probably like less than 10. Could we get 18 plus? That's a stretch, right? 5 or less in 3 straight games, but 17.9. Has he played the Giants? No. He might make the back end just like Cueto, just because it's AT&T. If he didn't die, he didn't die. But easily a guy to isolate what you want to target him with. And for me, it's like a lefty with some power. Mike Yastrzemski, if he's in that leadoff spot, he's 5'1", he's going to cost you on DraftKings. He's got a great spot. Slugging 522. We see the numbers here. Bundy at 225 home run per night so far this season against lefties. Last year, 65 innings. He kept it under 1, but there's not like a big difference in hard contact rate, fly ball rate. So I just think it was a little bit more luckier than not. And then years prior, Camden Yards probably elevated at the number a little bit more than it should have. So I think anywhere from 1.1 to like a 1.4 is probably the where Dylan Bundy will sit versus lefties, especially like power lefties. If we go look at that pitch report for Bundy here, I'm going to compare Bundy's pitches versus Yastrzemski's strength. Fastball, slider, and then some changeup. Yastrzemski plus grade against the fastball, kind of neutral against the slider, really, really plus against the changeup. So I like Yastrzemski. What's his bomb detector rating? 3.93. So it's below 4. You'd like to see 4 plus, but I think he does line up well. I like him more on FanDuel at 3K than DraftKings 5-1. And then Alex Dickerson's kind of interesting as well for that same thing. So kind of a wide range of outcome game. You could see an average scoring game. You can see the Giants kind of lift up here. But if this is an Angels lineup that will not have Ohtani in the mix, man, you can't expect much. Fletcher, Rendon, Jared Walsh, the 3 guys. That's it. The rest of this lineup is really rough. Maybe Upton stuns you here and there, right? Cueto, I'm liking him. He's been good this season outside of his last start. Yeah, and like I said, Cueto's just kind of like a contact guy that might get by, steal a couple strikeouts here because of his funky approaches, his rocking chairs, right, his windups. Not really a swing and miss type of guy, but this is a horrendous Angels lineup, especially against righties. Astros hosting the Red Sox. Eduardo Rodriguez taking on Jose Urquidy. Man, this is probably a spot where I'm going to sit out on Erod. I don't really like to play lefties against the Astros. And I really don't like to take pitchers in Houston. I know we've seen some guys be successful in the last week or so. Kershaw comes to mind. But I just don't trust Erod like that. So I'm personally probably going to stay away. I will say his ERA is not doing his advanced metrics justice. A 3.44 Sierra, 3.29 xFIP, 10% swing and strike rate. So there's room for him to surprise us. But this Astros lineup just doesn't present upside to begin with. 14% K rate, 16, 11. 6, like this is a really hard lineup to strike out with a lefty, and it probably becomes a very stackable lineup. It looks like Minute Maid's going to pop the roof open in Houston. When I would imagine it's going to be, if not, it's got to be the warmest temperatures on the slate, right? It has to be. Houston, roof open, yeah. So hottest hitting environment, roof open. Maybe get some easier access to the Crawford boxes. So I think the Astros would be a stack I would target. Actually, 4.5 runs is their implied total. I'd probably look at it a little bit more. I like some of these bats. Altuve, Bregman, Correa, all guys I would target here. I got Kyle Tucker projected in that 2 spot. I definitely think that has a chance to not be the case. Looking through this lineup, maybe you see like a Yuli Gurriel or somebody up there. But right now I got just one lefty in the mix here in this projected lineup. So I like the Astros potential here. I'm probably going to stay away from Erod. And if I wanted to flip it here, Urquidy, 8,600 on DraftKings, 7K on FanDuel. His Sierra and xFIP has been opposite of what Erod's is results-wise, right? 4.58 Sierra, 4.64 xFIP, but a 3.22 ERA. So he's been a little bit more on the lucky side, but a sub 10% swinging strike rate. Red Sox might get a little bit slept on here. They're going to get the same temperature, roof open, hitting environment. I think Alex Verdugo, JD Martinez, Andrew Bogarts, Rafael Devers. I think this game could surprise offensively. So I will have probably access to both stacks here. There's just some really good names for cheap. FanDuel really gave us bargain bin prices for a lot of big names today on both sides, or excuse me, on all across the slate. I don't know why I said both sites. DraftKings is going to charge you for these Red Sox. A lot of 5+K guys here, so maybe that tapers or slows you down. They didn't quite tax the Astros, just Bregman over 5K. But this is definitely a game I'm going to be targeting. While I was going through that, it looks like the White Sox lineup came out, and it definitely looks a little different than I remember talking about. So that could be the doubleheader effect. So real quick, let's fill in those blanks. Tim Anderson, Jake Lamb is batting second. Yohan Moncada, Abreu, Yerman Mercedes, Adam Eaton batting sixth. Lurie Garcia batting eighth. Zach Collins, Nick Madrigal. So there is no Yasmani Grandal. So I'm assuming he's going to catch the second game. So it takes out a switchy from the mix here. Does add a lot more lefties or lefty capable bats, right? Couple switchies with Moncada, Garcia, and then Collins, Eaton, and Jake Lamb batting lefty. So McKenzie against lefties. The power's there, and the walk rate's up as well. So it's a dangerous spot. Jake Lamb might be 3,900. Jake Lamb might be somebody. It's kind of like Justin Upton, where the numbers based on the sample size from the reach are kind of underwhelming, but you can see the strides they're making this season. Like Upton's kind of had some a resurgence power wise, and I think we've seen Lamb kind of in that same spot. So I wouldn't let the numbers push me away if I can see some progression coming out of him this season. So far we have, and then we'll move on. We have, I guess, 2 games left. 1 game left on the DraftKings slate, which is Athletics at the Mariners. Is this a bull? We got James Caprian up against Logan Gilbert. So Gilbert's the Mariners' top pitching prospect. And so far, the transition into the majors has been kind of what you expect. It's never smooth, right? 5.1K on DraftKings. Value subjective at that point for a starting pitcher. If you think 15+ fantasy points is a range of outcome, even if it's not common, like you might take some stabs at that. But I don't think that's necessary. I'm gonna invest in pitching today. I'll probably see a lot of like Burns, easily my table setter, but I'm probably gonna see a lot of like Burns, Rodon, guys like that. So I don't anticipate a lot of Gilbert, but I do think I'll have him in the pool. I'll probably set a strict ceiling on him, maybe 5%. Caprian, man, I'm telling you, man, it's sleepy. I've been up since like 2 p.m. yesterday, and my brain and motor skills are making me pay. 62% fastball, sent around 93 miles an hour. Slider and changeup, the 2 and 3. The secondary stuff is looking like what's keeping them going. The number 1 pitch has a negative grade, but the Mariners are just not a great hitting team, and they really don't have anybody that projects extremely well against the fastball. So he might actually get by as a solid play. I do think 9K feels aggressive. Let's see if we can get some hints at what his pitch is. 94 pitches, 25, 20. It's 20 plus. He dropped 20 plus last time. Yeah, we put him in a mix. He actually looks like he might trend. Looking at this price, the matchup, and the recency bias, he might trend as one of the higher owned pitchers, right? Maybe top 4, top 5, just guessing. But at 9,100, I think if any pitcher, like I always say, if you can get over 20 DKP, you're in the pool for me. I think he can. FanDuel might be even more intriguing at 8K, sneaking to that quality start. Hopefully scoop the win. 4.5 is the implied run total for the Athletics. 4.1 for the Mariners. Gilbert, so far, his weakness has been lefties. A 321 average allowed with a 142 home run per 9 and a 50% fly ball rate. That is not what you want. This, I can already sense, is going to break the bomb detector for Matt Olson. So let's click over to the hitter rating chart and resort the bomb rating. This is the infamous bomb detector column that we talk about a lot on Twitter. Yep, Matt Olson, number 1. Shocker. So Matt Olson is the home run plug, right? 4.37 rating on the bomb detector. Makes a lot of sense. I like that he's projected to hit second, so you get all of the at bats. If that comes true, yeah, Olsen would probably. If you told me right now, Olsen is playing. He's probably my highest owned FanDuel bat for sure. And at 4,700 on DraftKings, I probably am heavily invested in that as well. The rest of this lineup, you don't really expect a whole lot of offense from this game, but I do think the Athletics are more interesting for me than the Mariners. Mark Canha, Ramon Laureano, Jed Lowry, all guys I can understand playing, but Olsen's easily far and away my favorite play from this game. Jarred Kelenic, 2,400 on FanDuel still. We know he's a better talent than that price point by his minor league pedigree. He's a top 5 prospect in the entire major league, so I'll probably still keep chasing some exposure to him. But on DraftKings, I don't really feel obliged. Mitch Haniger's another guy that has been hitting homers very consistently, but that's kind of like it. The Mariners are very, very concentrated when it comes to guys that have been successful or glimmers of positivity. Let's switch it over to the FanDuel slate. So that's going to wrap up your DraftKings slate. FanDuel has left on the Braves and Nationals game. This is a 5:10 Eastern game. This is a weird spot. I can't really recommend what to do with it because we wouldn't have information about it. Stunning news from the Braves over the weekend. Marcell Ozuna got arrested for assault on his wife, and I believe his wife won a family and friends home run derby in Miami years back. I remember his wife being involved in that. So kind of crazy. And I know that stunned a lot of people in the organization, a lot of fans, and that's crazy. So not that it has anything to do with this game, just kind of crossed my mind thinking about the Braves hitting a slate. Ozuna, though, the absence of Ozuna is definitely palpable. That is a power bat. Not a great defensive bat, but definitely a power bat. So maybe a little less menacing, but Joe Ross, not somebody that I'm going to roster because of the absence of Ozuna. Charlie Morton is somebody on FanDuel that I guess you would have extra access to that might get a little bit more. Bill, appreciate the follow. You might have a little bit more access to because of that. Or I don't say a little bit more access, but people that are playing both sites right now, they're probably not thinking about Charlie Morton. They did the DraftKings research. So maybe I'd have some Morton just for that potential quality start. 8,800 is not like a crazy price to pay. The Nationals are kind of top heavy. They've been doing this thing where Juan Soto leads off, Trey Turner behind him. I think that's a little backwards. I think all the baseball nerds have to agree Trey Turner in the leadoff spot, Juan Soto second is probably the better way to go. Nonetheless, after those two, the lineup gets a little bit more beatable. Josh Bell's been hitting for a 270 plus average since beginning of last year against righties, and the rest of this lineup is pretty porous. So not a ton of power at the bottom half. I will say the top 4 guys, Schwarber included, all slug over 500. So Morton kind of has to get through that, and then the matchup gets much, much easier. So I'd have some Morton just because why not? You can play him on this site. Braves against Joe Ross. Yes, Joe Ross, not great. 4.56 Sierra, 4.6 xFIP. So far this year against righties, a 1.75 home run per 9. Against lefties, over 2. Great spot for everybody. Would have been a fine spot for Ozuna, but Ozuna's probably played his last major league game of his life, probably. Acuna, 4,400 on FanDuel. Great leadoff spot. Amazing late night hammer. The risk that you kind of take if you get access to this game in your lineups is there are no pivots if this lineup comes out late, right? If this lineup, I'm sure it would be out before that 4 p.m. string of games, but that Acuna money, that Freeman money, that's there's no pivots. So I don't know. I don't quite understand why FanDuel left this game on the slate, but it is there. And I think the Braves at home have potential to be a top stack. So you would have to have them, but you don't, you're not going to know who's in to kind of have those lineups going. So I would definitely encourage you guys to Check back maybe an hour or 2 hours before that game kicked off. Double check who you might have. I don't expect like surprises, so script what you have, and then if you have to swap out of somebody who might be a surprise inactive today, or not starting inactive. I got the basketball lingo, but Acuna, Freeman, Albies, Riley, probably the top 4 guys in that order for me, and then William Contreras kind of in the mix for me as well, and maybe Dansby Swanson. But that's it, man. That's that game. Let's get caught up here in chat. If you guys got anything else for me, drop it in chat. Shout out to you 30 plus viewers hanging out. I do apologize. Like I could feel that my speech a little bit more slurred, but I promise that's because I'm sleepy, not drunk. What's up, Thomas? Like Gilbert, but he faced him last week. Yeah, Gilbert's been. We see that with pitchers and guys like Jarred Kelenic. Like it takes a little while for them to adjust to the big leagues. We saw that with Vladimir Guerrero when he got called up. I think they'll be fine in the long term. Stacking Oakland, I'm with that. How the Shadows for a 5 p.m. game in their park? Which park? The Oakland park, or the Braves park? I'm not too worried about that. I wouldn't overthink that. Just really, unless you're talking about for the defense, that's really where the Shadows kick them. But if the batter's eye is just fine, I'm not gonna let that kick into the DFS decision making. Chat, any thoughts or any questions? Let me know. I'm gonna resweep the lineups just real quick. I don't think anything else is out that I didn't already have. Like I said, there's probably a lot of lineups that we don't have now that we probably won't get. Did the Cubs lineup come out? No. Did the Indians lineup come out? No. Angels? No. So I am looking for Ohtani news. If Ohtani's out, I'd definitely be a little bit more inclined to play Cueto. I'm not even excited to play Cueto, but the Angels without Trout and Ohtani in a top, a favorable pitcher's park, I'd be in on that. So kind of watching that, but Ohtani's not in the projected one. Talk me off a full Corbin Burns on FanDuel. I can't. He's easily my favorite pitcher. I don't like to look at ownership projections on I don't know how I say this. Like I have access to like ownership projections elsewhere, but I don't like to look at them because I don't want to feel like I'm giving away proprietary stuff, But I would assume, if I had to guess, Corbin Burns would probably start at 50% on FanDuel and then probably higher. So if you really love the spot for Burns and you want to have leverage on it, then I don't think it's the most insane thing to do to kind of click that lock button if you had like 50 or less lineups. If you went to 100, 150, there's not a need to do that. And there are other like it's even less because you don't have Rodon on FanDuel. Like there's no warm and fuzzies anywhere else. No one else in this pitching pool. I guess you could argue that Rich Hill technically has the upside of a Burns here, but that's it. Like, and that's, you don't feel great about that statement, right? Maybe Barrios gets in there against the Orioles and does well. Caprion could get that quality start, maybe go 7 innings, but nobody can compete with Burns' upside. And to further the Burns like dilemma is, my goodness, are the bats just doggone cheap? What's an example here? I guess for this FanDuel slate, let's just look at it. Like, go to this outfield spot. Like, the 3K range at outfield on FanDuel is nutty. Like, Alex Kirilloff, 3,400 against Baltimore. Like, if I put Burns in the mix here, that's gonna give me 30-50 per. I'm sure there's going to be like a 25. I mentioned Gio Urshela on FanDuel is disrespectful. 300 above min price to back cleanup at Yankee Stadium. Yeah, I'll take that. Like, it's not hard to get Burns. This is ultimately what I'm driving at here, because they have severely underpriced a lot of great power. Like, Stanton's under 3K. Like, it's just... I would have 100% Burns in 50 lineups. I'll say that. If you get to 100, you probably diversify your portfolio a little bit. But Burns just seems like this is the smash mathematical spot. If he hurts his arm on you know what I'm saying? If something happens, it happens. But looking at the other pitchers in the mix here, I'd probably be extremely, extremely invested on Burns. So I can't really be the guy to talk you off that ledge. What's up, Tall? Doing all right, bro? Braves. Yeah, I'm with the Braves too. Just be cognitive that if you set those lineups up, you probably won't have the Braves lineup until what? If we're lucky, noon, 1 p.m. So just make sure you have a hold to come back and verify that those guys are actually in the lineup, because if you set it and forget it and somebody's out, you probably you're giving away zeros. You don't need to. Today we're leaving money on the table. Always. In my optimizer, when I script for MLB, I always put my min salary at like something crazy like 60%. I don't salary is not something I really weigh in on. So like when we do like isolated analysis on a guy like Aaron Judge at 6K, like 6K is a lot, but for me, there's just really not really a value scale in baseball outside of pitching that is something that I can quantify long term, right? So if I get a 2K homer and a 6K homer, I'm just trying to get points, right? Once lock hits, there's no salary for hitters. I'm just trying to get points and get it how you get it, no matter what the price. So if you can afford the 6K guy, go for it. But if you just think great matchups are great matchups, right? And I think today on FanDuel, especially with a lot of those 3K guys, you're just gonna play them. And I don't really care about the pricing, but yeah, we're leaving money on the table today. But I also that's something we do every day. That's gonna be it. Chat. What is tomorrow looking like? I definitely want to. I like to do live streams here, but also I know it's hard to catch a live stream for baseball. So tomorrow might be a pre-record video upload. I'm trying to look at the schedule. But I definitely want to try and get you guys content at least Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday for main slates. So if you check, so tomorrow's a big slate. Oh my, tomorrow's a big slate. And it's a 6 p.m. lock outside of a White Sox Indian. So we'll probably do I'm going to say look out for a pre-record, but if you guys do like the live streams, let me know. Maybe leave a comment or hit me up on Twitter. And if I did that, I'd be a little bit more energized. Like I said, we're going on almost 24 hours of being awake, so we'll be better at it tomorrow. But tomorrow's a big, big slate. I'll put it on the main screen. All of the teams going at it. 2,900 for Stanton's disrespect. It was Stanton, Gio. And the thing is, I understand. I'm not saying the Yankees should be 5K, 4K. They've been a really weak offense, but you just the thought that you can get Stanton against a lefty in the 2-spot in Yankee Stadium for that price is just kind of a crazy price, right? All right, that's gonna be it, guys. Guys, if you haven't checked out PrizePicks, be sure to do so. PrizePicks.com. Sign up using code GUNDACKER, and they will match your first deposit instantly up to $100. So $20, $40. Make yourself some prop parlays. If you guys want access to the spreadsheet, we do have really good deals at RunDFS.com. $20 week pass, the $60 month pass. That's the one. That's the one. It's usually $100, so 40% off. You get access to the MLB spreadsheet, and also there's 2 NBA games tonight. I already have projections uploaded into that. What I will do is I'm going to get my player pool carved out here. So if you guys want to tail what I'm doing, you'll have access to that. Go to RunDFS.com, get signed up, and find the pass that's right for you. And then after this slate locks, I'm going to take a nap, and I'll be back later for some basketball. Just 2 games, pretty simple, and we'll have some fun, man. I appreciate you guys hanging out with me, making part of my day be part of your day. I hope you enjoy the holiday. If you're out there observing it, spending with your family, have some fun, and hopefully you make a little dough in the meantime, right? I love you guys. Good luck. God bless. And go win some money, why don't you?